Hey folks, welcome to another video from Blue Light. I'm Brendan, and in this video I'm going to take a look at something that might have implications for you for your preparation for the final interview. So here we are in Preston. Everyone's just gone. It's the end of one of my seminars. I've just run a final interview seminar to help support and prepare people to do their very best at the final interview. In this case, we had representatives who are applying for Lancashire Constabulary, Durham Constabulary, West Yorkshire Police and British Transport Police. So one of the questions that we looked at preparing for was around the challenges that police forces are facing. Now this links in with some work that I've been doing outside of the police recruitment world in respect of supporting forces and councils to improve their levels of community engagement and problem solving, especially around complex issues within communities. So we broke it down into two different areas, one at a local level and one at force level, which also links to national requirements. So simply being able to come out with cybercrime, child sexual exploitation, terrorism, austerity cuts isn't enough. For me, you need to be able to give a really strong, in-depth answer that looks at starting off at the local level. So what my candidates have done here, and I'm really pleased that they've done this, is they've followed the advice that I've given them in various seminars and also in the Facebook group that I have. So there's over 3,500 people in that Facebook group, all supporting each other very ethically and in real detail as well. I must say, I'm really impressed with the level of support they offer each other. And if you'd like to join that group, by the way, just put a little note in the comments box below, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, and I shall send you an invite. Anyway, the advice I've been giving in that group and on other videos I've prepared before is to get to your local police station and ask questions of practitioners about the sort of challenges that they're facing at this local level. Now, one of the things that came out from one of my delegates was how knife crime is becoming a really big issue locally. And so we looked at that and the potential impact of knife crime on both the police in terms of their ability to deliver a service, on partners, how it's going to impact on partner organisations in terms of the level of support that they can provide or what they can do to help support the police in tackling this complex problem, and also, and really importantly, the impact of that type of crime on the communities that the local police were part of. So we then took that and started looking at the extent to which knife crime is an issue at a very force level. So we started breaking down how maybe several years ago knife crime wasn't, but as a result of a lot of the very sad and really unfortunate deaths and serious injuries that have occurred as a result of knife crime, it is now something that's at a sort of national level. Knife crime is certainly in the press. It's something that the government want to tackle, they want forces to tackle it. So at a force level, this has become a priority for a lot of forces. We also explored how the government sets priorities for forces, so in terms of being able to have a capability to tackle and deal with any kind of terrorism threat is a national requirement, and what the force is doing to actually make sure they're in a state of preparedness and what they're doing to actually tackle and prevent some of those issues that are at a national level. Now, this now creates a tension. We started exploring one of the big challenges, which you should explore when you go and visit one of the police stations. So one of my delegates is going to go back to the police station to speak to a sergeant that he spoke to look at how they manage this tension between force level and local level issues. So one of my candidates also talked about how they've been to a Police and Communities Together meeting where the PCSO at the meeting was being asked to tackle alcohol-related problems at a local level, and they were trying to explain how they've got various pressures to deal with things at a force level, but the community weren't listening, and it was described as no one was listening to each other, and it was just going nowhere. So this now links with our relationship with communities, because there's a tension here now that you might want to explore in preparation for your final interview, a tension between those things that forces have as priorities which are important. I'm not saying that child sexual exploitation or trafficking or modern day slavery is not important at a local level, but how do we make sure that the people who live in our communities are aware that these are the sort of issues that we have to focus on, and at the same time being cognizant of the impact that these issues at a more local level are having on their community. So this all links in with the relationship with the community. What are the levels of trust like? How accountable are the police being for their actions and what they're doing at a force level? So we're now starting to link in with the code of ethics and also the competency and values framework, where we need to start looking at transparency, accountability, having those difficult conversations so that we can maintain a strong relationship with the community. And then we moved into another big challenge, because those young people who are committing acts of what some people describe as low-level antisocial behaviour, aged 14 and 15, could well be the individuals that start organising themselves around committing further acts of antisocial behaviour, which are actually starting to turn into crime now. So we're looking at throwing stones at buildings, disrupting local businesses, fooling around in libraries, committing acts of hate crime, throwing stones at people's windows who are particularly vulnerable for whatever reason. They're starting to grow and organise themselves around a criminal purpose, which starts to, not at that level, but wouldn't flag up at force level as being an organised crime group. But roll on a couple of years, and they're now starting to get bolder. They're committing burglaries, they're committing street robberies, they're using knives in those street robberies, and they're starting to organise themselves more around a criminal purpose. We've started to look at now how they're attractive for other organised crime syndicates, in particular county lines, so look up county lines. Look up how in county lines they'll look to cuckoo the premises that are lived in by vulnerable people, which might be some of these individuals. And what started off as Mrs. Miggins at 48 Acacia Avenue bending the PCSO's ear about young people drinking alcohol at the back of her house. Like I said, wind on a few years, and they're now starting to commit more serious armed robberies. They're getting involved in money laundering, they're getting involved in the exploitation of young people, they're getting involved in trafficking. They're starting to spread their wings in terms of the sort of crimes that they commit. Before we know it, they're the 21 and 22-year-olds who are committing serious and organised crime that are causing problems at a force level, and indeed might be causing problems at a national level involving the likes of the National Crime Agency. So here's a further tension, and here's a further challenge. How do we get upstream to tackle those issues at a local level so that at a force level in several years' time they are not becoming individuals who are really, really starting to hurt and harm our communities? I think I might have given you enough to go on there. So, because in other videos and other parts of, actually we went into it in this particular seminar, we looked at what can be done to intervene locally, how we can link in with our partners to intervene at a very local level, so that the 10-year-olds of today don't become a blip on our radar at a force level in 8 years' time. So we started looking at some of the things that I'm involved in elsewhere, more asset-based approaches to solving problems in communities, building and enabling communities so that we don't have to do early intervention with the 5-year-olds of today in 5 years' time, because they're growing up in an environment which, in a society and a community that has lots of social capital, often referred to as collective efficacy, very cohesive communities, where there are more positive role models for them to aspire to, rather than those individuals who are driving around in a Bentley paid for as a result of their money laundering, loan shark and drug dealing activities. A situation I came across once as a neighbourhood inspector. Anyway, more than enough for you to go along with there. So I hope you found this video useful. What challenges is this force facing? Is a really difficult, complex question to answer. Do your research around all of this. Focus on your individual force. Go and visit the local police station. Explore what the relationship is like with communities. Go to the PAC meetings. Go to the local surgeries. Get off your backsides. Don't rely on Google and what's on the force website. Prepare yourself for this interview. Go and do some really active research out there in the community. That's what's going to get you the pass, and that's what's going to get you to score highly in answering this question. Now, we covered a lot more on the seminar around this. I can't go into it all, but I hope that's given you a little taste of how to approach a question like that. Because one of the things we did go into afterwards, one of the further questions might be, how do you believe you will be able to assist in the future in dealing with some of those issues? So that's a bigger one actually for my seminars and one-to-one coaching, which is a little teaser actually, isn't it? So if you want to access any of those, please just look at the link below and it'll show you how you can access those services to really prepare yourself for the final interview. And if you're not at that stage yet, there's also a link below to find out more information about the seminars and the courses I run to help prepare you for the assessment centre, and even going all the way back to the beginning with your initial application form. So there you go. If you've got any questions, please do post them in the comments box below. If you'd like to join that Facebook group, once again in the comments box below. And if you're watching this on YouTube, somewhere up there I think is a little subscribe button. Press that subscribe button, and every time I put out a new video, you'll get it landing in your inbox, in your email tray. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this, hope you found it useful, and I shall see you at the next one. Bye bye for now.